Welcome to this video tutorial on how to use the data reduction feature with the FS8600 version 4.0 NAS. This is one of a series of videos designed to help show features and functionality of the FluidFS version 4.0 FS8600 NAS appliance. Let's get started. So what is FluidFS data reduction? De-duplication is the elimination of duplicated blocks of repeating data. Data reduction uses algorithms to eliminate redundant data, leaving only one copy of the data to be stored. The FluidFS cluster uses a variable size block level deduplication as opposed to file level deduplication or fixed block level deduplication. It is applied per volume on a FluidFS FS8600 cluster. Data reduction will apply only to files that have not been accessed or modified in the last 5 to 365 days. The minimum file size eligible for data reduction is 64K. Files smaller than this are skipped. Compression can also be applied to reduce the amount of data stored. Compression is generally good for overall space reduction, but can have a small performance impact as compression is CPU bound. Data reduction is a background process that is scheduled by the administrator. What types of data are eligible for data reduction? The effectiveness of data reduction depends on the data you are deduplicating. Here are some examples of data types with varying degrees of deduplication and compression results. As the results in this table demonstrate, data sets that are text-like in nature can be reduced very efficiently, while data that is very random in nature will not be effectively reduced. Any data that is pre-compressed or encrypted, such as music or video files, is also unlikely to be reduced. And attempting data reduction on that data will generally waste system resources. This raises a new consideration for system administrators to separate reducible and non-reducible data into different NAS volumes so that maximum economic savings can be achieved at minimum system resource cost. To configure data reduction, I'll use Enterprise Manager and then right-click on the cluster that I want to enable data reduction on. Click Edit Settings, then click the File System tab in this window. You'll notice that I have a number of settings under the data reduction category. The first thing I'm going to need to do is globally enable data reduction by checking the enabled box. The next thing I need to do is set the time that data reduction runs daily. Data reduction, again, is a post-process activity, so you'll need to schedule a time for it to run. You also need to schedule how many hours that it will run. These two settings combined tell us how long data reduction is going to run and when it is going to run. And it is best to pick a time when the cluster is at low usage. When I've finished configuring these items, I'll click the OK button. After I've enabled data reduction at the cluster level, I can now enable it on any volume that I wish to deduplicate. In this case, I've selected a volume called QTest. To enable data reduction, right-click and select Edit Data Reduction Settings. When this window comes up, you can see that I have several options here. In order to enable data reduction, I'm going to check the enabled box, and then I have a choice of whether or not I want to use deduplication or deduplication and compression. In this case, I will just select deduplication. The rehydrate on read option is grayed out. However, after the data reduction runs and I disable data reduction, I can check the enabled box in order to rehydrate any data that was deduplicated if I wish to do so. 30 days is the default setting for minimum days since last file access or last file modification. I can change that to as little as 5 days if I want to. In this case, I'm going to leave it at 30, and I will click OK. Through an SMB share created on the QTest volume, I've used Windows properties to total up the entire size of the volume. You can see here that I've got 1.62 gigabytes of space used in files on the volume. I've let the data reduction process run overnight, and you can see now in the properties, the general summary of the QTest volume, I'm looking at a data reduction savings of 1.91 gigabytes. That's approximately half of what the user is seeing at 3.62 gigabytes. The system now reports a data reduction savings percentage of nearly 50%. After letting deduplication run, I now have a total savings of 50%. This is what the storage administrator will see in the Enterprise Manager. However, the user, when they do a properties or look to see how much space they're using, the space will be the same as it was before the deduplication ran. For more information about the data reduction feature on the FS8600 appliance, please check out the FS8600 Appliance Administrator's Guide. Also visit Dell Tech Center at the URL on your screen. Thanks for watching.